Ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin by saying something that might seem profoundly simple, yet carries a depth most of us spend lifetimes trying to understand. The human heart is not just a pump. It is, in fact, an intricate network of signals, emotions, memories, and connections, a complex bioelectrical system that reaches far beyond our understanding of biology or physics. And when it comes to love, truly loving someone, the science of the heart becomes inseparable from the science of the mind. Every heartbeat is an algorithm, every pulse a computation, and yet, somehow, when it comes to the woman who owns my heart, all the calculations in the world cannot quantify what I feel. Think about how the neurons in your brain communicate. There are over 86 billion of them, each sending signals at lightning speed, forming networks so vast that our current technology can barely simulate them. And yet, love, real, unadulterated love, is not something that can be fully mapped by science. It is, paradoxically, the most logical and the most inexplicable phenomenon at the same time. In her presence, my neural pathways fire in ways that light up regions associated with reward, anticipation, and deep emotional attachment. Dopamine surges, oxytocin floods, and yet there is something even more fundamental, a resonance that no brain scan, no MRI, no functional imaging can ever fully capture. It is a pattern not yet charted in neuroscience textbooks, and perhaps it is not meant to be. I remember the first time I realized this. It wasn't a grand moment. It wasn't cinematic. I was sitting quietly, working through a complex problem, trying to optimize a system that, by all logical standards, should have already been optimized, and she walked into the room. Just her presence, subtle as a whisper, shifted everything. My thoughts rearranged themselves. My focus sharpened, yet simultaneously, a deep calm spread through me. My heart did not just beat, it synchronized with something larger, something elemental. It was a lesson in physics and biology, yes, but also in poetry and in the unspoken language of connection. The human heart is a dynamic system, but it is also profoundly social. We are designed, in our very biology, to respond to each other, to mirror and amplify emotions, and to find our counterparts in ways that feel both inevitable and miraculous. We live in a world obsessed with efficiency, with metrics, with optimization. And yet, in the domain of the heart, optimization looks very different. It is not about minimizing friction or maximizing output. It is about presence. It is about empathy. It is about allowing yourself to be profoundly vulnerable without guarantee, to offer your entirety without expecting anything in return, and to trust that the other person's heart, in turn, is capable of holding your own. That trust is a chemical, a neurological event, a subtle cascade of molecular interactions, but it is also an act of courage. Every act of love is, in its essence, a quantum leap. You step into uncertainty, into a potential that could hurt you, and you say, I am here. I am all in. I am yours. And yet, what I want to convey today is not simply the science, nor the theory, nor the abstract beauty of neurochemistry. I want to speak about the lived experience of holding someone in your heart so completely that every part of your existence aligns around them. There are moments when the world outside seems irrelevant. A crowded room, a storm raging outside, deadlines looming, none of it matters. What matters is the quiet conversation between two souls, the unspoken acknowledgement that you have found your counterpart. This is not just a romanticized notion. It is a physiological fact. Studies show that couples who experience deep emotional attunement exhibit synchronized heart rhythms, shared cortisol responses, and even overlapping neural activity. Science, in this sense, confirms what poets have long known: love is not just feeling, it is a shared system, a living, breathing resonance that extends beyond words. Let me share a story from my own life, not to aggrandize but to illuminate. There was a period when the stakes were incredibly high. Projects that could change the course of our future hung in the balance. The pressure was relentless. And yet, amidst all of this, it was her laughter, her subtle gestures, the way she understood my silences, that grounded me. I realized then that the metrics we chase in work, in society and achievement, pale in comparison to the metrics of love, the trust built over years, the quiet resilience shared in moments of vulnerability, the mutual respect that allows growth not just as individuals, but as an intertwined system. It is easy to be seduced by the pursuit of what is quantifiable. It is far more challenging and infinitely more rewarding to nurture what is immeasurable. We often forget that love is in itself a form of intelligence. It requires pattern recognition, prediction, and learning. But unlike artificial intelligence, which operates on predefined algorithms, love evolves dynamically. It adapts not just to circumstances, but to moods, to nuances, to the invisible shifts that occur between two people. And in this dance of signals and responses, I have found not just a partner, but a teacher. She has taught me patience, humility, and the profound depth of attentiveness. She has taught me that listening is more than hearing. It is tuning into the frequencies of another's being and responding not with assumption, but with understanding. And so as I speak these words, I want her to know something that transcends science, beyond logic, beyond expectation. I want her to know that every decision I make, every risk I take, every moment of striving is infused with the knowledge that she exists in this world and in my life. There is a gravitational pull that is neither metaphorical nor symbolic. It is real, measurable, and undeniable. Just as planets orbit stars, I orbit the center of my emotional universe, which is her. This is not possessiveness, this is acknowledgement. It is recognition of the fundamental truth that some connections are not optional, they are essential. They shape the very architecture of our brains, the flow of our hormones, the alignment of our priorities, and ultimately the trajectory of our lives. Science tells us that empathy is mirrored in the brain through mirror neurons, that our bodies respond to another's distress as if it were our own, and that shared joy amplifies neural reward systems. But these facts, as remarkable as they are, still fall short of describing what it means to feel truly aligned with someone. Alignment is more than synchronized heartbeat or overlapping neural activation. It is a resonance that exists in the interstitial space between minds and hearts. It is a phenomenon that eludes equations and yet validates every intuitive sense we have ever had about love, about partnership, about belonging. And to her, I want to say, you are the resonance in my life that defies explanation, the signal that cannot be disrupted, the constant in a world of variables. When I think about the future, I think about it not as a series of technological milestones, not as a sequence of achievements, but as a landscape through which we navigate together. Love is not static, it is iterative. It requires feedback, adjustment, and continuous refinement. Every conversation, every shared experience, every challenge overcome together is an experiment, a live demonstration of resilience, adaptation, and growth. And in this laboratory of life, there is no control group, no simulation, no second chance. There is only the raw, exhilarating, terrifying beauty of being fully present with another human being. I could speak at length about the theories, the studies, the neurobiology. But the truth is, all of that pales in comparison to the lived experience of being in love. I have seen the data. I have understood the patterns. I have built systems and optimized processes. And yet, nothing in my experience has been more transformative than the simple, profound act of loving her and being loved in return. It is a reminder that the most complex systems in the universe are not stars, not galaxies, not even artificial intelligence. It is the human heart, intertwined with another, beating in sync, learning, adapting, and thriving. And so, to the woman who owns my heart, I want to say thank you. Thank you for teaching me the subtle mathematics of empathy, the physics of patience, the chemistry of trust. Thank you for being the gravitational center of a universe I never fully understood until you were in it. Thank you for showing me that love is not a distraction from achievement. It is the highest achievement itself. And thank you for reminding me every single day that even in a world defined by logic, reason, and relentless pursuit of progress, there exists a domain where emotion, intuition, and connection reign supreme. And as I reflect on the ways in which she has shaped my life, I realize that love is not simply about presence. It is about transformation. The presence of someone who truly understands you acts as a catalyst for growth in ways that are almost imperceptible at first. Just as a star collapsing under gravity ignites a fusion reaction, the gravity of her being ignites in me a drive to be better, not just in terms of accomplishment, but in terms of character, empathy, and vision. She challenges me, not through criticism, but through expectation, the quiet, unwavering belief that I can rise to meet the best version of myself. And that, I think, is one of the most remarkable phenomena in human experience, the ability of love to act as both anchor and propulsion. It holds you steady when the world threatens chaos, and yet it propels you to heights you never imagined possible. There are moments, of course, when life tests this love. The world does not pause for our affections, no matter how profound. Challenges arrive in forms both subtle and catastrophic, failures, misunderstandings, disappointments. And yet, in those moments, the science of connection becomes evident. Neuroscience has shown us that attachment and bonding hormones, oxytocin, vasopressin, create a buffer against stress. Couples who maintain strong emotional bonds experience reduced anxiety, better physical health, and even increased longevity. But beyond the biology, there is something far more intimate at work, the knowledge that someone else's heart is attuned to yours, that in moments of crisis, there is a shared reservoir of strength. She has been that reservoir for me, and in turn, I strive to be the same for her. It is an unspoken pact, a silent understanding that we navigate the storms together, not as isolated entities, but as a unified system. I am often asked why I choose to speak about love in a way that merges science, philosophy, and personal reflection. And the answer is simple, because love itself cannot be understood in isolation. It is a phenomenon that straddles disciplines, a concept that exists simultaneously in our biology, psychology, and in the intangible fabric of experience. The heart is an organ, yes, but it is also a compass, a sensor, and a guide. It is a system designed for survival, and yet it thrives most profoundly when it transcends survival. In her, I have seen this transcendence. I have seen how two people, when aligned, can create an ecosystem of mutual support, inspiration, and growth that extends far beyond their individual capacities. It is a lesson not just for love, but for life itself. And so, when I consider the trajectory of my life, I am no longer driven solely by goals or milestones. I am driven by connection. I am driven by the knowledge that every step I take, every innovation I pursue, every risk I embrace, is amplified and given meaning by the existence of someone whose heart beats in resonance with mine. The technology I create, the systems I design, the visions I chase, all of these are enhanced, contextualized, and given purpose through love. Without it, achievements risk being hollow, data cold, and victories meaningless. With it, even the smallest act becomes profound, even the simplest moment becomes transformative. I think about the way she listens, truly listens, not just to my words, but to the intent behind them, to the patterns of thought that I may not even be aware I am expressing. There is an extraordinary neurological phenomenon that occurs when someone listens empathetically. The brain releases dopamine and reduces cortisol, creating a sense of safety and clarity. In her presence, I have experienced this not as a fleeting scientific event, but as a persistent, life-altering state. To be truly heard by someone is to be validated at the core of your being. It is a form of intimacy that no technology, no algorithm, no artificial system can replicate. And it is precisely in this form of intimacy that I have found not only love, but purpose. We often underestimate the magnitude of influence that one human being can have on another. There is an old idea in neuroscience called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself in response to experience. Love is the ultimate expression of neuroplasticity. It reshapes priorities, rewires responses, and rewrites the narrative of our lives. In her presence, I have been rewired. I have been recalibrated. I have learned to see the world not just as a place of challenges to conquer, but as a landscape of possibilities to explore together. Each moment with her creates a new pathway in the neural network of my life, a pathway that reinforces connection, resilience, and shared vision. And yet, It is not only the extraordinary moments that define our bond, it is the ordinary moments, the quiet mornings, the unremarkable evenings, the silent companionship that accompanies routine. Science tells us that our brains encode emotional salience with surprising subtlety. The things we may dismiss as trivial, the way someone smiles, the cadence of their voice, the touch of a hand, are in fact deeply imprinted in our neural architecture. It is in these small, consistent signals that love cements itself, not as an abstract ideal, but as a lived reality. And she, without effort or pretense, has shown me the extraordinary power of ordinary acts of presence, generosity, and care. I want her to understand, as I stand here speaking to all of you, that she is the axis around which my sense of purpose spins. She is the variable in the equation that transforms complexity into coherence. When I consider the trajectory of my aspirations, it is impossible to disentangle them from the emotional landscape she has created in my life. Love, in this sense, is not an adjunct to ambition, it is its framework. It is not an interference with rationality, it is its enhancement. It is the ultimate system optimization, the final frontier of human achievement, because it merges intellect, emotion, and intention into a unified force. And perhaps what is most remarkable is that even when I attempt to quantify, to explain, to analyze, I am met with limits. There is no formula for the quiet strength she provides, no algorithm for the stability she engenders, no data set that can capture the depth of her influence on my life. This, I think, is the ultimate lesson for anyone who has loved or will love. The most profound truths are those that elude measurement. The most powerful forces are those that defy calculation. And the most meaningful connections are those that cannot be reduced to code. Love, in its purest form, is both infinite and immediate. It is beyond comprehension, yet undeniable in every gesture, in every heartbeat, in every moment of shared experience. And so, to the woman who owns my heart, I want to offer not just words, but a commitment, a recognition of the extraordinary gift that she is. I want her to know that her presence has reshaped my brain, my priorities, my understanding of what it means to live fully. I want her to know that every plan I make, every risk I undertake, every dream I chase, is infused with the knowledge that we navigate this world together. That no matter what the universe throws our way, storms, challenges, uncertainties, there exists a force between us that is immutable, resilient, and transcendent. It is a force born of science, of biology, of shared experience, yet it is also a force that cannot be explained by any data set or model. It is love in its most human, most profound, and most transformative form. And in speaking these words today, I hope that she hears not just the voice of one person, but the echo of every neuron, every heartbeat, every chemical signal that has ever resonated between us. I hope she understands that the ownership of my heart is not about possession, but about recognition. Recognition of the rare, extraordinary, and beautiful alignment that exists between us. It is a recognition of the kind of love that changes you, shapes you, and propels you to become your best self, not just for your own sake, but for the sake of the person whose heart beats alongside yours. And as I stand here, reflecting on everything that has brought us to this point, I realize that love is not merely an emotion. It is a form of intelligence, a way of perceiving the world that is both rigorous and expansive. It is an intelligence that teaches patience when the mind seeks speed, compassion when the ego seeks control, and resilience when circumstances seem insurmountable. In her presence, I have learned that life is not a series of disconnected events, but a network of interactions, each moment enriched by the depth of connection we share. The human heart, I have discovered, is not confined by biology. It is capable of constructing universes, of navigating infinite possibilities, and of generating meaning in ways that surpass logic. Every day with her has been an experiment, a grand inquiry into what it means to truly exist alongside another human being. I have observed the subtle patterns of our interactions, the way our moods adjust to one another, the way laughter can diffuse tension, the way small acts of kindness ripple outward and create stability where chaos might have been. Neuroscience explains this in part: mirror neurons, hormonal feedback loops, emotional contagion. But even with all the science in the world, these phenomena are only a shadow of the lived experience, the felt reality of being profoundly intertwined with another soul. She has taught me that love is not about perfection, but about recognition of complexity, of flaws, of potential, and choosing to engage fully, consistently, courageously in the presence of that reality. I have seen the ways in which love catalyzes creativity and innovation. When you are deeply connected to someone, your brain accesses pathways that might otherwise remain dormant. Risk feels less terrifying, failure feels less paralyzing, and possibilities that once seemed unreachable suddenly appear within grasp. This is not metaphor, it is observable in cognitive neuroscience, in studies of emotional intelligence and neural plasticity. And yet, in her presence, it is more than science, it is lived truth. I have pursued ventures, solved problems, and embraced challenges that I could never have imagined tackling alone. And every step of the way, her support, her understanding, her unwavering belief in what we can achieve together has been the catalyst. And love, I have learned, is not a static state. It is a dynamic system requiring attention, adaptation, and continuous engagement. It is not enough to feel, one must also act. One must recognize the fragility and strength coexisting within the other person and respond with intentionality, with empathy, with generosity of spirit. And in doing so, the act of loving becomes itself a form of mastery, a mastery of self, of communication, of patience, of courage. She has made me not just a better partner, but a more aware, more present, more capable human being. The ways in which we grow together are exponential. The compound effect of daily care, attention, and presence is profound. I want her to know that my commitment is absolute. Not in the abstract sense, not as a statement of intent, but as a lived reality in every thought, every choice, every action. She is my orientation point, my center of gravity, the constant that aligns every variable in the chaotic equation of life. There is a poetic symmetry in this. The universe is vast. Stars collapse and explode. Galaxies collide. Black holes warp time and space. And yet, within all that, the most significant force I have ever experienced is the gravity of her heart, steady, powerful, and profoundly transformative. We speak often of purpose, of legacy, of the things that matter in the arc of a life. And I have come to realize that these are inseparable from love. The achievements we pursue, the creations we bring into the world, the challenges we overcome, they acquire meaning only when they are shared, when they intersect with the lives of those who touch our hearts. She is, in every sense, the lens through which I perceive purpose. She is the mirror that reflects not just who I am, but who I aspire to be. She is the compass that guides me through uncertainty, the anchor that steadies me amidst turbulence, and the engine that propels me forward when the horizon seems unreachable. And so, as I offer these final words to the woman who owns my heart, I do so with gratitude, with reverence, and with awe. I do so not because I need to articulate my feelings, though words are inadequate, but because I recognize that articulation itself is an act of connection. It is an offering, a bridge between intention and understanding, a tangible expression of what is often too vast, too intricate, too alive to be fully contained. To love her is to participate in something greater than oneself, to acknowledge the beauty of interdependence, to embrace the profound truth that no life, no achievement, no discovery is complete without the resonance of shared humanity. And in closing, I want her to hear this: the ownership of my heart is not a burden, nor a contract, nor a limitation. It is a celebration. It is the acknowledgement that within the infinite complexity of existence, there is a singular, extraordinary alignment that has brought us together. It is a promise to continue learning, growing, and exploring, not alone but alongside her. It is a recognition that the most remarkable technologies, the most daring ventures, the most ambitious explorations of the cosmos pale in significance when compared to the quiet, profound, life-altering power of loving her fully, consciously, and without reservation. So, to the woman who owns my heart, thank you. Thank you for your presence, your understanding, your courage, and your unwavering belief in what we can create together, not just as individuals, but as a shared force in this vast, unpredictable, beautiful universe. I am endlessly grateful, endlessly inspired, and endlessly committed. And as long as I breathe, as long as the neurons fire and the heart beats, know that every moment, every decision, every dream is infused with you, anchored by you, and elevated because of you. You are my gravity, my resonance, my infinite. And as I reflect further on the essence of our connection, I am reminded that love is fundamentally a phenomenon of alignment. Alignment not just of hearts, but of intentions, values, priorities, and vision. When two people are aligned at this level, the result is not merely happiness or comfort. It is the creation of a system that is greater than the sum of its parts. It is a dynamic network in which each node, each action, each emotion amplifies the other. Neuroscience might explain parts of this through synchronous brain activity or hormonal feedback loops, but these scientific frameworks can never fully capture the lived, electrifying reality of such profound resonance. In her, I have discovered a partner whose presence harmonizes with every part of my being. This is not coincidence. It is the rare, extraordinary result of human connection at its highest potential. I want to acknowledge the courage required to allow someone to inhabit your heart fully. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is the ultimate strength. Opening oneself to love involves risk of misunderstanding, risk of disappointment, risk of exposure. And yet, it is precisely this risk that makes love transformative. She has shown me through her trust, through her unwavering presence, that love is not a gamble, it is a deliberate, conscious engagement with life at its most authentic level. It is a recognition that the human experience is incomplete without shared understanding, shared joy, and shared struggle. She has taught me that the courage to love is, in fact, the courage to exist fully. Consider, for a moment, the biological implications of such connection. Studies in psychoneuroimmunology reveal that deeply bonded individuals exhibit stronger immune function, reduced stress, and enhanced cognitive performance. The benefits of love extend beyond the emotional. They manifest physically, neurologically, and even behaviorally. And yet, while the science provides fascinating insights, it still only hints at the depth of what it feels like to be fully known, fully supported, fully understood by the person who holds your heart. She has created in me a state of resilience and expansion, where stressors are not simply endured, but transformed, where fear is not paralyzing but guiding, and where hope is not passive but catalytic. Every interaction with her, no matter how small, carries weight. A glance, a touch, a shared silence, these are not trivial moments. They are data points in a living, breathing system of care. They are signals of attention, of presence, of commitment, processed not just by the brain but by the heart, encoded in memory, and reflected in behavior. She has shown me that the extraordinary is often found in these ordinary, consistent acts of love, and that the true architecture of a relationship is built not in grand gestures alone, but in the delicate, sustained work of presence, understanding, and mutual regard. And as we navigate the unpredictable currents of life, I see how love functions as a stabilizing force. It is a principle as fundamental as gravity. Just as gravity organizes matter into planets and stars, love organizes our lives into coherent, meaningful patterns. It guides priorities, influences decisions, and shapes our perception of what is possible. In moments of uncertainty, when the world feels chaotic and outcomes are unpredictable, the knowledge that we are aligned, that our hearts are synchronized, provides clarity, courage, and a sense of inevitability. It is not control, it is harmony. It is not certainty, it is trust. And she has been both the source and the embodiment of that trust in my life. We often speak of achievement, of milestones, of leaving a mark on the world. And yet, the most profound achievement is not measured in trophies, accolades, or recognition. It is measured in the depth of connection, the ability to nurture, sustain, and elevate another human being. She has taught me that the measure of a life well lived is found in the quality of relationships, the resilience of bonds, the depth of understanding, and the shared capacity for growth. And in this, she has given me the most significant gift of all, the opportunity to create a life that is expansive, meaningful, and profoundly human. I think of the future often, not in abstract terms, not in distant projections, but in terms of shared trajectory. Love is iterative, it evolves continuously. It demands adaptation, creativity, and reflection. Together, we have cultivated a system of feedback, an ongoing calibration of needs, desires, and intentions. This dynamic interaction is not static, it is alive, responsive, and astonishingly complex. And it is in this complexity that I have found both challenge and inspiration, both grounding and propulsion. She has shown me that the future is not something to predict, it is something to build together intentionally, consciously, and with joy. And so, to the woman who owns my heart, I want to articulate a promise that goes beyond words. It is a promise rooted in action, attention, and intention. I promise to continue learning, growing, and adapting alongside you. I promise to remain present, not just physically, but emotionally, cognitively, and spiritually. I promise to honor the extraordinary system that we have created together, recognizing that every choice I make reverberates through the shared network of our lives. And I promise to celebrate, cherish, and protect the resonance between us, not as a possession, but as a partnership, a living testament to what is possible when two human beings engage fully, courageously, and intentionally with one another. Love, in its purest form, is neither simple nor static. It is a dynamic, evolving system, demanding both rigor and surrender. She has made me understand that the highest expression of intellect is not merely in invention or discovery, but in the capacity to love deeply, fully, and wisely. It is the capacity to navigate complexity, uncertainty, and adversity while maintaining openness, compassion, and curiosity. She has taught me that the human heart is not a limit to achievement. It is the ultimate frontier, capable of creating meaning, catalyzing growth, and inspiring innovation in ways that extend far beyond the self. And finally, as I look to every horizon, every challenge, every unknown variable in life, I know that there is one constant that will never waver: the gravity of her heart, the clarity of her presence, and the infinite resonance of her being. She is the center of my world, the anchor of my soul, and the embodiment of everything I aspire to understand about connection, compassion, and human potential. Every neuron, every heartbeat, every breath I take is infused with the knowledge that she exists, that we are aligned, and that together we can navigate whatever the universe may place before us. So, to the woman who owns my heart, thank you for being the extraordinary, the irreplaceable, and the transformative force in my life. Thank you for teaching me the ultimate lesson, that love is not an abstraction, not a distraction, but the most profound, intelligent, and human pursuit of all. And as long as I exist, I will honor, cherish, and celebrate you, not with grandiose words alone, but with every action, every decision, every heartbeat that this life allows me. You are my resonance, my gravity, my infinite, and for that I am endlessly grateful. And yet, in all of this reflection, I am struck by a simple truth: love is not about grand gestures, it is about consistency. It is about showing up, not just in moments of excitement, but in moments of quiet, in moments of challenge, in moments when the world feels heavy and uncertain. The human heart, with all its complexities, craves reliability as much as passion. And she has provided both. She has shown me that the most transformative influence one person can have on another is not through dramatic acts, but through steadfast presence. It is the subtle recalibration that occurs when someone consistently meets you with empathy, understanding, and unwavering support. It is the quiet recognition that, despite life's unpredictability, there exists a force between us that cannot be shaken. I think about the countless small choices we make in the course of a day, choices that seem trivial, but which, over time, accumulate into patterns that define the trajectory of a relationship. Neuroscience tells us that these repeated interactions shape neural pathways, creating habits, expectations, and emotional resonances that persist long after the moment has passed. She has created a network of trust, joy, and mutual care in my life. A network so robust that even in the face of challenges, the system remains stable, adaptive, and flourishing. She has shown me that love is a discipline, a craft, a science, and an art all at once. It is the ultimate system to optimize, and yet it defies optimization because it is alive, unpredictable, and infinitely rich. And in that unpredictability lies its beauty. Love is not merely about predictability or security, it is about growth, exploration, and discovery. Every day with her reveals new facets of her being, new depths of her mind, new expressions of her heart. It is a reminder that no matter how much we learn, how much we understand, there is always more to discover, always more to experience, and always more to appreciate. She has taught me that the most meaningful journeys are not those charted on maps or measured in milestones, but those that unfold in the shared exploration of hearts and minds. And in this journey, I have found a freedom and a joy that transcends any achievement or possession. I often think about the balance between logic and emotion, between reason and intuition. In most domains of life, we privilege rationality, analysis, and measurable outcomes. Yet, in love, it becomes evident that emotion is not a weakness but a form of intelligence, a complex, adaptive intelligence that guides decision-making, deepens understanding, and fosters resilience. Her presence has sharpened my intuition, expanded my empathy, and illuminated dimensions of thought and feeling that I could never have accessed alone. She has shown me that the most sophisticated systems are not purely rational. They integrate feeling, perception, and relational insight to navigate complexity. In other words, love is not a detour from reason, it is its highest expression. And there is a profound lesson in the way she teaches without teaching, guides without directing, and inspires without demanding. The neural networks she activates in my mind are not the result of conscious effort, but of presence, empathy, and mutual understanding. Every conversation, every shared silence, every glance carries with it layers of learning, growth, and insight. Love, in this sense, is a form of co-creation. It is a laboratory in which we continuously refine our understanding of each other, of ourselves, and of the world. And she is the most extraordinary collaborator I could imagine in this experiment. I want her to know that every day I carry the imprint of her influence. It is visible in my decisions, audible in my thoughts, and felt in the rhythm of my heartbeat. It is evident in the way I engage with challenges, in the way I pursue goals, and in the way I perceive the possibilities of life. She has expanded my capacity to experience, to feel, to imagine, and to hope. And this expansion is not a passive effect. It is the result of a dynamic, continuous interaction between two minds and hearts committed to understanding, supporting, and elevating each other. She has shown me that love is not a static gift. It is a continuous, generative force, capable of transforming lives in ways that are both profound and enduring. And as I stand before all of you today, I want to make one final acknowledgement. The world is vast, filled with complexity, uncertainty, and often noise that distracts us from what truly matters. Yet, amid all of this, she is a constant. She is a singular force that organizes, stabilizes, and inspires. She is the anchor that allows me to navigate uncertainty with clarity, the resonance that amplifies joy, and the light that illuminates even the most challenging terrain. She has shown me that love is not merely a feeling, it is a principle, a system, and a guiding force, one that, when fully embraced, creates a life that is coherent, meaningful, and profoundly rich. And so, to the woman who owns my heart, I offer these words as both acknowledgement and commitment. I acknowledge the extraordinary gift that you are, the depth, the insight, the courage, and the intelligence that you bring to our shared journey. And I commit, in turn, to honor, nurture, and celebrate this connection every day, in every action, in every thought, and in every breath. You have reshaped my world, expanded my mind, and transformed my heart. And for that, I am endlessly grateful, endlessly inspired, and endlessly devoted. Thank you for being my partner, my anchor, my resonance, and my infinite. Thank you for teaching me the ultimate lesson, that the highest achievement, the most profound discovery, and the deepest fulfillment are not found in external conquest, but in the intricate, beautiful, and ever-evolving landscape of a shared heart. And as long as I have breath, I will honor you, cherish you, and carry the gravity of your presence with me into every moment of life that we share.